When discussing the pioneering spirit that shaped the motocross industry in the United States, it's impossible not to mention JT Racing, the brand that redefined motocross apparel and gear. At the heart of this iconic company were John and Rita Gregory, the dynamic duo whose vision and passion left an indelible mark on the sport. John and Rita moved to Southern California from Oklahoma in the late 1960s. They first lived in Corona, where, by day, John pursued a career in the pharmacy business, and where he also got into dirt bikes. He was soon racing District 37 desert races on weekends, and was a member of the Jackrabbits Motorcycle Club. A few years later, John and Rita moved south to San Diego County, where they opened their own pharmacy in Bonita, a few miles east of Chula Vista. John's newfound passion for off-road racing quickly consumed him. However, as we all know, racing proved costly. Their accountant recommended that the Gregorys needed to start a side business to offset the mounting racing expenses. This was the birth of JT Racing. Their first product was something racers never knew they needed: motocross socks. Back then, riders wore itchy, uncomfortable wool socks. John and Rita saw an opportunity to repurpose cotton soccer socks made on the other side of the border in Tijuana, Mexico. Recognizing a gap in the market, they began selling these socks at local races on the hood of their car. Since the socks were made in Tijuana, which is called TJ by most Californians, the Gregorys reversed the initials from TJ to JT to name their new business. A critical component of JT Racing's rise to prominence was its early adoption of athlete sponsorships. The company's first sponsored rider was 250cc World Motocross champion Joel Robert, who they paid $100 a year and provided as many socks as he needed. His Suzuki teammate, Roger DeCoster, and other Suzuki riders also began wearing JT socks, and to ensure that everyone knew it, they wore them with the sock neatly folded over the top of the boot, exposing the colorful socks. It was a genius marketing move by the Gregorys. Sales boomed from this early endorsement by these world-class riders, which catapulted JT Racing into the spotlight. Soon, nearly every rider in motocross, from beginner to top professionals, were wearing their socks just like the Suzuki riders. Bob Hanna and Marty Smith were the first American riders to sign on with JT Racing endorsements, both joining the program in 1975. In the early years, John and Rita operated JT Racing at their Bonita Pharmacy retail store, which stocked not only pharmaceutical products, but also motocross gear. JT Racing's operation later expanded to directly supplying motorcycle dealerships with gear, and by the late 1970s, JT Racing had expanded its product line to include jerseys, gloves, helmets, plus an innovative nylon riding pant and a large variety of other products, including twin air filters and Pirelli tires. By the end of the 1970s, JT Racing was outfitting a who's who of motocross champions. In addition to Hanna and Smith, Rick Burgett, Tommy Croft, Brock Glover, Kent Howerton, Danny Laporte, Chuck Sun, Marty Tripes, Jeff Ward, and others, plus European stars like Garrett Wolsing and Heikki Mikkola were signed. In addition to Laporte and Sun, JT Racing also sponsored Donnie Hansen and Johnny O'Mara, who in 1981 became America's first ever victorious Trophy to Nations and Motocross of Nations team, all wearing JT gear. JT Racing outgrew the pharmacy and moved twice into larger facilities as their star-studded roster helped the brand become synonymous with the sport itself. Riders wearing JT Racing gear dominated races, and the company's distinctive, colorful designs became a staple on podiums worldwide. JT Racing didn't just follow trends, it set them. The brand introduced innovations that are now staples in the industry, such as vented jerseys with eye-catching colors and patterns, and helmets with integrated goggle straps, and the nylon riding pants. Their commitment to pushing boundaries ensured that JT Racing remained at the forefront of motocross gear design. The 1980s marked the peak of JT Racing's influence. During this time, the Gregorys continued their strong relationships with the top American motocross and off-road icons mentioned, plus others, such as David Bailey, Scott Burnworth, Rick Johnson, Ron Lachine, and Larry Rossler, to name a few. These riders, many of whom hailed from Southern California, became the face of JT Racing, helping to popularize the brand across the US and Europe. Beginning in the early 1980s, JT Racing started expanding into other sports, including BMX and mountain biking. By the mid-1990s, JT Racing shifted focus away from motocross and moved into the emerging sport of paintball. The company's expertise in manufacturing high-quality protective gear translated well to this new market, and JT Racing became a leading producer of paintball goggles, gloves, and jerseys, helping to standardize safety practices in a rapidly growing sport. By the early 2000s, JT Racing was a major player in the paintball market, eventually leading to the sale of the company to a conglomerate focused on outdoor sports. Although JT Racing faded from the motocross scene in the 1990s, its legacy endures as a testament to John and Rita Gregory's vision and relentless drive. John and Rita's commitment to innovation kept JT Racing ahead of the curve, while their genuine relationships with riders fostered trust and loyalty. These connections solidified the brand's reputation and spread its influence across the globe, cementing JT Racing as a household name in motocross. John's creativity and passion were the driving forces that shaped JT Racing's identity and dominance in the sport, while Rita Gregory's invaluable contributions in product naming, marketing, and managing daily operations were critical to the brand's success. In the years following the sale of the company, they have both been able to enjoy time with their daughters, Rhonda and Laura, and 3 grandchildren, Osi, Kaya, and Dakota, as well as spending time in favorite places like Hawaii and Idaho. Tonight, we honor 2 legends of the sport whose passion and innovation have left an indelible mark on the history of motocross. Welcome, John and Rita Gregory, to the Trailblazers Hall of Fame.